Hi there, welcome to the Family Health Lab. Today I'm lucky enough to be talking with Dietitian Caryn Zinn from New Zealand.
You're listening to the Family Health Lab. Healthy parents, healthy kids.
Thank you for joining me. Delighted that you've been able to pop on. You're having a really busy day. You're a lecturer and a researcher and author of many books, and you're a registered dietitian. So you like to keep busy, don't you?
I am, and hi to you, Claire. It's really great to catch up and be what I believe to be the first interview. So hopefully we set a high standard here. But yeah, really busy, but I've always got time for you, particularly after catching up with you a few weeks ago at the Low Carb Down Under conference in the Gold Coast.
That was a really, really fun conference. And we were just both saying just before we popped on that we both felt really motivated and loved meeting people and listening to stories, but also the research and the evidence. Quite exciting, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And my nutrition and my lifestyle habits are pretty good. I practice what I preach, but I was amazed at how when I got back from the conference, I just tightened everything up. We just had motivation to tighten things up a little bit. So that was really good.
Just those reminders about what it does to your metabolic health, your cancer risk, and those reminders, and kind of just being buoyed up by people doing the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the evidence that was coming out of New Zealand in particular was really phenomenal.
Yeah, that's right.
So a little about your journey. You've come from Cape Town. That's why you've got that beautiful accent. And you live in Auckland.
I live in Auckland, New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the differences and similarities in society have you found?
In terms of the similarities, the outdoorsy nature, the sporting culture, and potentially the high consumption of beers and pies, something that is shared in populations too. Yeah.
You did your dietetics training back in Cape Town, and then pretty much most of your career you've been in different parts of New Zealand, having different experiences in the North Island and as an academic in Auckland.
Yeah, correct. So when I came to New Zealand, I first went to a place called Whangarei, which is the north of the North Island, and I got a job there as a public health dietitian. So looking at developing, implementing, and evaluating programs in the community, which was great. And then I came to Auckland and started my academic career. So I did my master's and my PhD all while I was, employed, and now I'm an associate professor now in the School of Sport and Recreation. So I teach and I research and supervise in the area of nutrition with a special focus really on whole food, and I will emphasize a whole food, low carb or keto approach, and it's sort of science and application to both metabolic health and sports performance.
That whole foods approach comes through your nutrition, no matter how strict somebody wants to be or what particular goals. Or if you're doing a research project with a particular community, you do really emphasize the whole foods approach. Why is that so important, do you think?
Our work is sort of split into kind of, well, in a million areas really. But, if I think about the work that I've done, say with children, we've got the research angle. So several years ago, we did a study, a 12-week study in children looking at whole food, low carb. And so that's the one thing that we could talk about that if you want to. The other area is sort of projects that I do, like say with schools or with communities in terms of moving things along and improving outcomes. So that's not the rigor of research. And then the third capacity, this is really outside of my academic role, but I'm a private practice dietitian as well. When I work with clients, adults or children in my practice, it's obviously very, very personalized. So you can't have that rigorous research hat when you're sitting in your consulting office. And sometimes you can't have that kind of holistic approach if you're doing kind of proof of concept kind of science. So the work that we do here at the Human Potential Center at AUT is very translational in nature. So I think even though I'm an academic, I think I'm more of a practitioner than an academic, and I like to I like to do research on not necessarily whether things uh, work or not from an efficacy perspective, but more from an effectiveness
Mm,
perspective. So how does this play out amongst people, amongst communities, amongst families? And when you're doing that, that sort of automatically brings the holistic approach, because my wheelhouse is around making sustained change. And often when you're doing research with communities, if you do like a 12-week study and then you step away from the study, these people are left on their own. So
mm,
our work is kind of, how do we kind of embed this in their lives and see how it plays out in a sustained manner? So
mm,
that's kind of how it, I don't know, maybe that is kind of how it brings it all together for me. But I certainly, only the last sort of 10, 12 years have I focused more on lifestyle as a whole rather than just nutrition. When I talk to people in my clinic, it's often about sleep or physical activity or how they're feeling or things, in addition to nutrition. So it is very holistic. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much there that you're involved with your work. I find really, really exciting your approach to it as well. Quite unique in the way that you look at things as an academic and with your practical hat on. But just talking about your wheelhouse, your
Mhm.
sustainable
Mhm.
affecting change, because I think where we are with low carbohydrate diets, and I've heard you say this, is we're at much more of a point of acceptance in it being mentioned. My son's school, actually, he's being taught health and nutrition, and even there carbohydrates were mentioned, and blood sugar
Mhm.
imbalance, and the route to diabetes and how to reverse diabetes. I thought it was really, really exciting to hear that come through. So
That is exciting.
yeah, I thought it was really, really interesting. Um, but you're also, as well as looking into proving low carb and practicing that and making it acceptable, your research is around embedding change in the community to address almost kind of systemic problems with healthcare and accessing healthcare. So you were telling me in Low Carb Down Under about a research grant, and that I thought
Mhm.
we could have a chat about that. That seems
Mm.
exciting that that's been granted, and the work is around sustainable embedding these changes in the community and in
Yeah.
medical practice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk about that in a second. I just want to just go back to the last time I got a research grant, which, believe
Mhm.
it or not, was in 2014. And this was really interesting. Well, not the last time I got a research grant, but from the Health Research Council to look at something bigger than just a small project. Um, so at that point, we were looking at doing whole food, low carb with children, and at the time, it was considered to be, you're not going to be experimenting on our children. And there was so much drama with getting that research grant through, and it initially got declined, and then for some reason it got approved. I think someone who knew me might have been on the panel and said, let's give this go. I don't know. But it was seen as something kind of out there and fringe and crazy and dangerous as well. Whereas, fast forward to where we are now, from an efficacy perspective, no one's questioning whether low carb works from an efficacy perspective. We know that. So now that effectiveness strategy is important. So we just got not just, but last year got a $1.4 million research grant from the government, which is amazing, to look at how this is going to play out in health delivery. So let me explain. We've got a primary care system in New Zealand where GPs see patients. That's typical primary care. And we've been working with several GPs over the last sort of 7 or 8 years around low carb and helping them, developing resources, doing some evaluation around how they're working with their patients in that low carb space, particularly with type 2 diabetes. So I've been putting in a research grant for the last 5 years about this, and it's got axed every year, actually, and it's finally got it approved, and it's definitely in the best shape now, and I think we are ready for it now. So what we're doing in the first year is looking at in primary care. So those patients who have type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, who have been through this low carb model of care that these GPs have been working with them on for the last several years. So we're doing a patient outcomes evaluation, like an audit pretty much. But we're also looking at doing some focus groups of the patients, not only those that have had success, but those that have just been through the program, to find out what works, what doesn't work, what could be improved, how we could get this out wide, all those sorts of things. So the experiences of going through the program. And then we're evaluating the health professionals as well. So the doctors, the health coaches typically that are involved, and any other personnel that's involved in the healthcare team. So we're interviewing them as to their experiences of this program and how it can be improved. So that's year one. Year two, so from that big evaluation, we are then refining the type 2 diabetes low carb community focused model. And then we're going to apply it to 19 medical centers in a primary health organization in Auckland. And then we're going to do a big evaluation, compare it to their standard outcomes. And after that evaluation in year three, we're hoping to push it out to the world. No, not push it out to the world. We're hoping to expand to wider New Zealand. So it is very much implementation science, translational study to see how we can improve the delivery of healthcare around type 2 diabetes, particularly for our Māori and Pacific Island populations who are highly represented in poor health, particularly with type 2 diabetes. So we're going to be working like in and amongst the community. And we're just really starting now. So I'm really excited for what's to come.
Excellent. And you're building on all of that past work as well. But I'm delighted. We were chatting about this briefly at Low Carb Down Under, and I was just so excited for what this could mean, and all of that different learning that you're going to capture in terms of how to improve the model and how to roll it out and adapt it for different communities. And
Absolutely. And, a lot of like this stuff isn't new. Like if you and I will know that at the conference, there were so many GPs that are actually doing this. But what's good about this is that it's government funded support of this area. So that sends a very strong message, number one. Number two, there'll be some papers or some publications that come out of it. So a lot of people who go, oh, that's N equals one, that's N equals one. It doesn't matter. We'll have some good publications, hopefully, that come out of it. And Dr. David Unwin, who I'm sure you know, he's doing amazing work in the UK, and he's a collaborator on our research grant as well. So he's helping to inform our sort of our project here, because he's had such great successes. So it's merging of that practice and research, which is really pretty cool.
Wonderful. And with that collaboration as well, Dr. David Unwin, I mean, he's considered a lead in diabetes type 2 and obesity, weight management within the UK and internationally. But with that international collaboration, again, that I'm sure will help with it being spread out and the research and the learnings taken on board around the world afterwards. So potentially really exciting, and government supported is really, really important. I don't think I know of another initiative of this level around the world. So like you say, there's lots of individual practices, and there's some within the UK, there's some great gains in terms of diabetes modules that Dr. David Unwin has put out for doctors. And there's some great initiatives, but nothing of this level. So an exciting few years ahead for you in that space, definitely.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep tabs and kind of check in and see how it's all developing. I'm really excited. In terms of diabetes type 2, that's when mainly a lot of the low carb work has we've been able to kind of demonstrate for people that we can reverse diabetes, we can prevent it. For those who are pre-diabetic, they can prevent becoming diabetic. But I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. New Zealand is one of the highest rates in the world and highest rates of obesity, and Australians are not too far behind. But I was going to ask, what other areas are you excited about with low carb nutrition and ketogenic diets? Other areas of health that you're kind of watching or you're interested in?
Well, I think, I'm excited about the acceptance of low carb and type 2 diabetes. excited that potentially it will be accepted in type 1 diabetes, because there's still a barrier there, particularly with some of the specialists and, all that goes with that. So I'm excited to see that move a little bit. But what I'm really excited about is looking at some of the other chronic conditions that are now being brought in, with regards study of low carb or keto. And cancers is a particular one. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is another one. um Dr. Matthew Phillips from New Zealand and Hamilton, he's done some amazing work on dementia and on Parkinson's as well, using low carb. And his team down there, they do really eloquent research. It's beautifully controlled, and he's very honest in terms of how he interprets his outcomes. I mean, we should all be honest. All researchers should be honest, but sometimes you read papers and you can slant it either way. But the research that's coming out of there is just super exciting. So that's good. That's good proof of concept research that is taking the N=1. Like, oh yeah, I've had a lot of success with keto and these groups, but the minute it's in black and white, published in a peer-reviewed journal, then the world starts to take it seriously, and the scientists go, oh, okay, there's good evidence here, or there's a good starting body of evidence that we can build on.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm really excited about. And the other thing I'm excited about, which is slightly outside my wheelhouse, or mental health area. Like I don't work in that area um, at all from a nutrition perspective, but it's really nice to link up all the systems together and realize that um, you can't talk about mental health issues without talking about everything else, like nutrition and like everything, all those lifestyle views that go alongside it. So I think I'm excited about, um, the world that is going, okay, so this is kind of holistic. And when I say the world, it's only our little world, because it's a small body at the moment. But, if we make enough noise and do some good research, then that message will kind of filter out.
Mm. Yeah, that it makes sense. And yeah, being at that conference we keep mentioning, there was lovely evidence. I think Dr. Matthew Phillips, he was advising people to be or not advising people, but he was cautiously optimistic. Yeah, he was careful not to kind of be overblowing the research, but it was very, very exciting, and
Yeah.
across, like you say, dementia and Parkinson's and different particular conditions. And then there's a lot of exciting stuff coming out about mental health as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
And I
good.
think that's kind of interesting. Sorry to interrupt. I think it's how we get these messages out and how we talk about low carb that is going to be important to, dare I say, get people on our side. Because if you go out and you get the keto cowboys, rah, 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 everyone needs to be on keto. Um, well, no, not necessarily. And it's how you progress, the terminology that you use,
Mhm.
and how you kind of, how you portray those messages out there in, conferences or publications or blogs or whatever, that allows the world to take you seriously.
That I think that's a really important point. I've not heard of them called keto cowboys before, but I think
Oh,
I
okay.
no, it's great.
Maybe that's just something I've invented.
No, I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah.
I'll use that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I know.
when we first started, it was like, oh yeah, do keto, just like drink bottles of cream and
Mm,
let's put butter in our coffee. And so I'd have like, there was a time where I'd have these middle-aged women, who were all kind of in the perimenopause era, coming to see me in my clinic going, I've heard that I need to be on keto for weight loss. I'm on keto, I'm feeling great, but I'm not losing any weight. Let's see what you're eating. Well, there's just, you know, butter and coffee and, not once a day, but several times a day, and like cheese personified, and, bacon at every single meal. And
mm,
it's not about that. I think, that well formulated low carb, or well formulated whole food low carb, or keto, might typically work in the low carb space rather than the keto space. Um, but Yeah, those messages are really important. So that's probably where I
Mhm.
got the keto cowboy kind of
Yeah. No,
name from.
I like it, and I think as you've mentioned this, and I touched on it earlier, but I think it's really important to kind of just touch on your nutrition approach because there isn't one size fits all, and it isn't the goal of when you're working with people and when you're advising people, and the message you put out isn't reach for high ketones at any cost. It's a much more intuitive approach, isn't it? And I think I've heard you say you don't need to necessarily even aim for ketosis, but you don't even need to aim for necessarily strict low carb. You could just eat. Lots of people could just eat a whole foods approach,
Mm.
real foods, traditional foods, or whole foods, however we want to term that, and be well and improve their health.
Oh, absolutely. And, micronutrients, the vitamins and the minerals and the fiber and everything that you find in the food is important. And when you look at topics such as mental health, and you can see what nutrients are required for brain function and for those metabolic processes to turn over in your brain, it's no wonder our youngsters have such poor mental health, because you look at the foods that they're eating, which have re, you know poor quality nutrition, minimal micronutrients, and then combined with, our soils, which might be not as good as we think. And there's also a lot we don't know about the micronutrient content of food, between when it gets grown, and when it goes onto the dinner plate or the whatever. So micronutrients are really important. And I think I wish there was more of a focus on, I mean, I do like the focus on food, not nutrients. That's a big deal for me. It's all about
Mhm.
food, not nutrients. But I think the micronutrients, the acknowledgement that if you focus on good quality food, like really good quality food, then the micronutrients will be there.
If we focus on the nutrients or specific micronutrients or a particular new superfood that we've just had a paper on, then we're losing. We might as well be crunching numbers or weighing and measuring. We're going down the wrong avenue. Going back to enjoying real foods. We're kind of looking after
Mm.
ourselves. We're looking after our body, and we're naturally going to be getting what we need through foods. The microbiome for all of our cell growth, all the renewal. Um,
Absolutely. And there needs to be more discussion and more messages provided from, say, national government guidelines about foods and food behaviors rather than nutrients. I mean, take the classic, you need to have less than 10% 10% saturated fat. So your saturated fat needs to be less than 10% of your total energy. I mean, look, if you've got a mental calculator in your head and you can work that out on a daily basis, then,
mhm.
good luck to you. You should have a top job in mathematics. But the reality is the average person has no idea. So by saying, giving that guideline, it's like, well, no wonder no one really looks at the guideline, because it's just useless. Whereas if you said, um, focus on eating more of these foods, it's like, okay, that's a good guideline. There's some foods there, like there's a guideline. So it's we just need to agree on which foods. And I think the 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 happy middle ground there is whole food. Although that in itself, there's a spectrum of definitions, like, oh, whole grain bread, that's a whole food. So it's
Yeah.
it's that description and definition of what truly whole food or minimally processed food actually means.
I quite liked Brazil's breakdown. It's the most sensible breakdown I've come across. I just think it's the
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
I love
and
it.
yeah, encouraging their population to go for minimally processed foods, and then breaking down what that actually means.
Yeah.
What is an ultra processed foods, and it's pretty straightforward to grasp.
Yeah.
Over 5 ingredients, can't make it at home.
Hmm.
Through factory processing that you wouldn't undertake in your own kitchen, and it's likely to be from a packet that you don't recognize some of the ingredients. And if it's a whole piece of, if it's a piece of chicken, or if it's a fruit, or it's a vegetable, and it can go through some minimal processing. I do like that definition.
It's that spectrum. And I think when you're working one-on-one with individuals, you really get to appreciate that you can't simply say, eat under 50 grams of carbs a day, you're done, and expect them to, you've really got to work with them to see how they can be achievable. And you've got to take the wins and you've got to choose your battles. Particularly, I've got a lot of clients who eat out. They still manage to improve their health outcomes and their, if they've got type 2 diabetes or weight loss or whatever. But, when you eat out a lot at restaurants, most restaurants have seed oils. They cook in seed oils. And so that's what you have to sacrifice, because if you suddenly say to someone who eats out a lot, well, actually, you've got to cook at home all the time, gone, you've lost them, So you've
Yeah.
got to work with the client, with their set of circumstances, with their, whether they live alone, whether they've got a family, whether they've got 12 kids or one kid or whatever. And every situation is vastly different from the next. So I think the ideal whole food, low carb world where you stick to it 100%, is actually very different to how it plays out in real life.
Yeah. And it's important because with a nutrition approach that I feel quite passionately about, ketogenic diets and low carb diets being an option for people, I still have the real life experience of people finding it hard to adapt to permanently, as much as I say it's a lifestyle. So people do need, decades of old habits and old information. They need help undoing that. And then they have the social issues, the occasions, the rewards, the emotional eating. So I like that approach of being quite kind about the approach and meeting somebody where they are. And if they get up several kind of steps and improve their health and are at a place that they can sustain that and are comfortable, maybe they don't need to go further and further and further and further.
That's right. And I think that's where behavior change is such a key part of all of this. And that's where you can get a good multidisciplinary team there. So, maybe the dietitian can give their initial diet and look at the diet over time. But then, maybe the health coach comes in on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis or something and has the skills to coach the individual as to how they can put into practice some of the things that the dietitian or nutritionist has provided to them. And then, then there's the GP who can then reinforce these messages and de-prescribe the medication. So I think, you asked me what I was excited about. I'm excited about taking low carb to the multidisciplinary team rather than people going, oh, I'm just going to do it on my own. It's giving me such job satisfaction and I love it. It's like, actually, we all out there to achieve the same goals and outcomes for the health of the communities and the people we love and work with. So working together, that's something that really excites me as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is exciting. And with 1 in 3, I believe, in New Zealand, obese adults classed as obese, it's really, really important that we get that multidisciplinary approach. And this brings me to our first conversation when I was looking to do a project with a school in the UK, and I was looking to see if anybody had adapted low carb nutrition for children. And that's where I came across your work. And you mentioned some of your research earlier, but also you'd done a really exciting project with Dilworth School in New Zealand. And I still think it's probably the most exciting low carb project that I've heard of. I still think it was just fantastic. And you were kind enough to meet with me over Zoom and talk to me and give me so much insight and information. Really, really helped me get my really, really small project off the ground with a local school, improving school nutrition. And that your approach with getting the whole community involved in your current project, your research, it was the same with the deal with school. You were getting the community on board, getting the teachers, getting the parents and the pupils, and working at all levels, and to get that buy-in. And it just makes so much sense.
It does. You're right. It makes absolute sense. I wish that we'd ended up publishing that work. It was work that we just sort of happened upon because of people we knew. It's like, oh, hey, Caryn, there's this guy who's the chef at Dilworth. Can you chat to him about whatever? So we chat. And then, oh, do you know that one? Do you know that one? And that's sometimes how things roll in New Zealand. It wasn't like, right, we need to do this study. So it was a real translational project that we didn't really have the rigorous science to write it up, but it was a great sort of health promotion initiative. And you're right, it was still one of the best projects I've ever worked with and the best group of people I've ever worked with, because there was so much support. And once you have one or two, you only need one really champion in the school environment who's influential, then you've got your in. Wouldn't bother to do it without the champion. But working with the school food program, so the chefs, working with the teachers. So we first talked to the teachers, and then we did some work with the students in the classes, and then we brought the parents in. So I wouldn't go so far as saying that everyone was like, yeah, let's do this. But at least everyone was informed. And when we got the outcomes we did, which was mostly positive, then, you can see changing eating habits is something that is pretty tough to do. But when you've got when you've got a lot of the community on side, and you do it in a way that's kind of softly and working through the process as you should, then people can't really complain like, oh, I wasn't given a chance to talk about it. Well, you were actually. So it was great. It was a great project.
That was with a secondary school, if I'm right, I don't know what part, New Zealand now off the top of my head.
Well, we actually did it in multiple locations. We first started in the Dilworth Secondary School, which is kind of about an hour south of Auckland, and that's they reside in that school environment for the term, and the senior boys, also boys' school, the senior boys had their own little chalets. So, there was some education about they were allowed to cook their own breakfast on a Friday morning. So there was some good education that went in there. And then we had such good outcomes there that the Dilworth group in the central city of Auckland said, oh, okay, we're really interested. Let's then take it to the high school and talk more about it. So it's sort of more from there. Yeah.
It was over a long period of time, and you changed all of the meals that were available to the school to low carb, real food. It really should emphasize that they were really good whole food options.
But what's important to say is that we didn't actually change it towards something that was super, super, super low carb, but it was much lower in carb than they had. So I think we took something like, from memory, 44 teaspoons of sugar out of their daily intake, and it was just by tweaking some of the things. And they used to have dessert every night of ice cream and canned peaches and all this kind of stuff. So because the chef was into it, he changed to chia pudding, coconut cream and chia seeds, and there was different. It was a different way of doing things. Instead of going, oh, you can have unlimited toast in the morning or unlimited cereal, we sort of stealthily moved along there. So it wasn't sort of a ketogenic diet by any stretch of the imagination, but it was cleaned up, and it was a lot lower in carbohydrate. It was interesting because at the time we got quite a bit of media coverage about it, and one of my colleagues actually wrote a letter to the Ministry of Education and the Dietitians Board complaining about what we're doing. What are we doing to these children? We're killing the children. And it was, we were literally just tidying up their diet and removing a whole bunch of sugar. And, looking at it now, I bet you this person who complained would just like kick themselves. That was a time where it was still sort of newish. So, I mean,
completely.
How would you possibly think that whole food could be a new concept? But I think, again, that's the terminology that will fly. If you say low carb or keto, people just switch off. But if you say whole food, who can argue with that?
Yeah, it's a good point. And with the schoolwork I did, I termed mine whole food, and it just happened to be lower carb.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's all really children need, and we saw great results. The reason that school bought in and wanted it was because they had, if I recall, high levels of weight problems and obesity, really, really high rates amongst their pupils, and they did see improvements, I believe.
Yeah, they did. But initially, this is an interesting story. The initial conversation, how this all got started, is that an ex-employee at AUT who moved down to be the principal there, he was talking to the chef about this whole low carb, and we'd just written What the Fat, and they came up to have a chat to us, and the chef was going, I'm really, really skeptical. What about the saturated fat? What about this? What about this? So we gave him a book, and we said, hey, read it and sort of let us know. And about 6 months later, he came back at like half the size. And he was like, oh my God, I totally get this. And he was all over it. And of course, being a chef, you've got those skills to invest in your work and your job and your everything. So that was the industry. He was a skeptic. And by doing his own homework and his own research, he kind of found the way.
And then you had your champion.
There you go. Exactly.
Which again, we're coming back to your current research is what we need. We need everybody to be on board. And then I just remember one more thing you were telling me about that school was that the pupils got on board pretty quickly. Not all of them probably, but the majority. But you did have some pushback from the staff who were also having to change their food because they were living in and eating there most of the time. And there was more pushback from staff and pupils.
There was. Yeah, there was. And I think that's a kind of interesting, it's an interesting thing. And this is one of the take homes with working with children is that the adults think that the children are not going to like things before they actually give it a go and see how the children go. So the children were like, oh, this is delicious. Whereas, the adults were the ones that are kind of so fixed on their ideas, and children are more malleable and more sort of adaptable when they they get their meal and it tastes nice, and they might not be the pancakes afterwards that they were used to, but the food actually tastes nice. They did evaluations of the meals, and they got really good evaluations. The kids mostly loved the meals. So adults just need to sometimes take a lesson out of the children's books.
Yeah, and it also comes into what all the aspects of your work change back to behavior change. Some people are able to adapt and make changes, and it could be that certain people or demographics are more challenging because we've got decades of all sorts to unpick, habits, emotional kind of links to our childhood of our eating, and comfort eating, emotional eating, and we've got entrenched views now about food, and we've had food messaging about eating margarine and must eat seed oils, and we must cut the fat off meat and eat muscle meat, lean muscle meat only, and we have within trying to change and trying to improve health, there is so much more to kind of unpick and support people with.
Yeah. It's interesting though. It just, when you come under the low carb conference and everyone's on the same page and it's super motivating, everyone's doing great work, and you think they're working with so many patients and it's all happy. You come away thinking, oh, work is done. And then it's like you've come back to your world and you go, there's so much to do. Today I just saw this morning in our Herald, there was something about the McDonald's McFlurry or something. They're not having the toffee sauce anymore. They've changed the formula, or they're reducing the sauce or something to take some sugar out of it. So it's like, okay, that's fine. But all the comments from the consumers going, this is outrageous, and this is like the worst thing ever. And I'm just going, oh my God, the worst thing ever. I could think of a lot of worse things.
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable.
It is true. We come out of a conference feeling almost like everything is changed and it's all been won. And I kind of look at your kind of on your own private dietitian website that you have with your private practice. You're openly saying I'm a low carb nutrition and dietitian, and that you possibly wouldn't have said that X amount of years ago. Now we're very, very clear. But then with society, I mean, I've got 2 children at school, and when I see what they're being given on a regular basis and kind of offered and exposed to and advertised, and what the normal food culture is this, then it reminds me back out of the bubble. There's a lot more work to normalize our food culture again.
Absolutely.
So just on a last couple of notes, what support do families and communities do you think they respond best to, or they need to help to make the early stage changes?
I think there needs to be some system changes, which we can't control. I think there needs to be some strong government messages about maybe price structure changes, taking GST or fruit and veg and all that kind of messaging. And then I think there needs to be supportive environments around um, around families and communities that allows them to make the changes, the easier option. So at the moment in South Auckland, one of our low socioeconomic areas, there's a fast food outlet pretty much on every corner, and there's a Foursquare or dairy or a shop that kids walk by on the way to school. So these are all these things that make poor choices really easy. So I think there needs to be some kind of structural change, and that's the toughest thing. The toughest thing is to actually make those changes. I don't know how we're going to get there, but on a kind of micro level, the work that I've done with kids, you get the best buy-in when there's family support, when there's support at school, um, and and it's all. I mean, it's also like when we're working individually. It's how you connect with kids and children and families, what terminologies you use. It's how you work with them to encourage good outcomes. Maybe you don't talk about weight. Maybe you talk about different goals, like the work that I've done with kids is talking about energy levels and how they're going in their sport. And then that's the focus. And then they lose a bit of weight and their mental health improves because they've improved in confidence. So it's maybe not always taking the emphasis on weight, because I don't think we should tiptoe around it, but sometimes just thinking about different ways to get to the same goal, the same outcome, both with children and their parents and their supportive environments. But it's definitely that supportive community, that supportive environment that is crucial to change.
That makes sense. To close, have you got a book or a resource that you like, or even a talk that you would like me to put in the links, or like to mention, that you would recommend to families who are thinking of getting started at the early stages?
Myself and my colleagues, Professor Grant Schofield and Chef Craig Roger, we've written a series of books. Now, they aren't focused necessarily on kids, but they certainly are, a broad focus on families. So the original book is called What the Fat. And, we wrote that several years ago now. And we've had some follow-ons. We had What the Fat Recipes, which is just being reprinted. We had What the Fast, which is not really, for kids or families. And then we had a sports performance one and a sort of beauty sort of therapy, gut health one as well. But really, I think What the Fat is a good one, really. And I'll have to do a plug for one of our local low carb advocates, or should I say pharmacist come low carb advocate, or these days low carb advocate come pharmacist, because she's so immersed in the topic. Her name is Libby Jenkinson, and she has Ditched the Carbs, and her website Ditch the Carbs. Basically, that's my go-to for all my kids and families, because she's got great recipe ideas. She's got great tips and tricks for lunch boxes, and she's also got some great behavioral tools that she imparts to mums and carers and things that can help provide that support.
Used her website, and I've recommended it. So good. And I've read your book, the What the Fat, and I haven't read the one with the recipes, so I would like to actually. So, and I think again it's good to have a hands-on resource in the home that you can rely on, that you can trust in.
Yeah.
So I think that would be really, really a wonderful resource to have it in somebody's home. So I'll get the links to where they're currently available from, and pop those in.
And I mean, I will say there are loads of other websites. I'm sure. So I'm not saying that others aren't worthwhile, but Ditch the Carbs and What the Fat are obviously my two go-tos.
Great. I think that's really, really helpful. And I do actually think it can be quite confusing. And sometimes you can go to a website, have a look at a recipe, and it has got loads of artificial things in it, or this, that, and the other. So it's good to have quite trusted resources. So I appreciate that. And I really appreciate your time on such a
very welcome.
busy day.
Great chatting to you.
Great chatting to you. And I've learned loads, as I always do when I talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Caryn.
Yeah, thank you.